doing business in Africa. You can't afford to be without Africa Investor.
We believe climate change is the greatest investment opportunity of our generation. That's why the African Green Infrastructure Investment Bank, AFGIB, is investing for generational climate returns. Join Africa's Green Investment Bank and its partners for action on the just transition and emissions reduction targets in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt for an epic 2022 African COP27. The African Green Infrastructure Investment Bank, AFGIB, committing capital to a climate-safe future.
I'm now going to call on another manifestation of that degree of collaboration. I'm going to call on Ndabe Mkhize from South Africa, who, whilst he chairs South Africa's one of South Africa's largest pension funds as the CIO, he also chairs the same type of collaborative conglomeration of pension funds, a consortium of pension funds in South Africa. So the floor is yours, Ndabe.
Thank you very much, Hubert, and good to be part of this discussion. And I think a lot has been said. I'll try not to touch on what has already been mentioned, but I just want to say that representing the views of pension funds and other asset owners, we certainly see the importance of investing in green investments, ESG, as well as investing in infrastructure. We represent hard-earned savings of active members who then become pensioners. And they really want to have investments that generate a sufficient return for them to retire on, but at the same time create a sustainable world for them to retire into. Many of the events that we're seeing, be it COVID or be it some unrest we've seen in some other parts of Africa, necessitate the need for long-term investors to think about the other factors that are non-financial but are equally important. So we've seen some of the more innovative pension funds moving from the 2D investment world to 3D investment world, where they no longer just look at risk and return, but they look at risk, return, as well as impact. And without necessarily needing to sacrifice returns or dial up on risk, a pension fund or any other investor can actually drive impact. So we're seeing a lot of reform, especially in South Africa and Southern Africa, where pension funds are coming up with ESG policies to take into account the environmental, social, and governance issues, and are also increasing their allocations to infrastructure and real assets, playing catch up with what we've seen the rest of the world doing. And we believe that as we invest in infrastructure and ensuring that that infrastructure is green, and green meaning that it's not only is it good for the environment, but it's also good for social and governance factors. We see a greater shift towards investments that the African Green Infrastructure Investment Bank represents, and certainly what COP27 will be all about. And we believe that the investments of local pension funds is very key, because pension funds are commercial investors. We like DFIs, they play a very important role. We like government, they indeed do need to finance even some projects that are not so bankable. Not everything can be bankable. However, when pension funds get involved, they want to get involved in those projects that can drive, as we said, both returns as well as impact. So they resonate with the sovereign wealth fund. They resonate with international pension funds that would only invest if they are getting the returns as well as the impact. They are a form of due diligence, or a layer of due diligence, because with them having local knowledge, if they're staying away in projects, they're not investing in those projects. Well, international players might as well ask, why are we investing if the local money, which is supposed to be smart money, is staying away? It also presents a form of skin in the game for the government of the host country. If they're going to go around asking for foreign capital to be deployed in their own country, well, they would have a skin in the game if their local pension funds are invested, so that whatever legislation they make or change will affect not only just the international investors, but local investors. And I think that's basically what one has to also think about when you're looking at how robust the legislation is. If it can be changed at a stroke of a pen, you simply want to know that local players are also invested. So we see the investments of pension funds in this space to really be important, because it will catalyze the investment of international money. So we in South Africa have formed an asset owners forum, South Africa, comprising of more than 10 of the largest pension funds in South Africa, which arguably represent, they number some of the largest pension funds in the whole continent. So it's a large pool of money, and certainly we aim to grow that even more. And one of the principles that we're going to be looking at, besides looking at infrastructure and real assets, is to ensure that we're taking ESG and green investments into account. So mobilizing those pension funds so that they can reduce the information asymmetry, they can reduce the cost of conducting due diligence, which tends to be the thing that preclude or militate against a larger allocation to infrastructure. That will go a long way towards promoting infrastructure, which will be green. So if we really want to be serious about COP27 and be serious about green investments, all we need to do is to encourage a lot of pension funds and other institutional investors to remove the barriers to investing in infrastructure. And in that way, we'll actually be putting our money where our mouth is. And when it comes to bankable projects, I think the REIPP, Renewable Energy Independent Power Producing Program, has been quite successful in South Africa. And now we've also seen a further step with the liberalization of energy production, such that one can generate up to 100 megawatts without necessarily needing a license. And that can actually be supplied to corporate and industrial off-takers. So that, in our view, would allow, as we've seen Amazon doing, being able to wheel energy that is produced somewhere in the Karoo, which is the semi-arid area northern South Africa, while their plant or their offices are down in Cape Town. And that ability to wheel it through the national grid, Eskom's national grid, will allow a number of corporate and industrials to start taking this seriously, and therefore shifting and being responsible in their consumption, which falls neatly as well into scope 3 and scope 2 of emissions. So we believe that all those things are there. All we now need is to make sure that as the local pension funds and local and African sovereign wealth funds invest in these infrastructure, we can also catalyze and ask the international players to invest. We look forward to COP27. We certainly look forward to the involvement of African Green Infrastructure Investment Bank and the collaboration of the various Asset Owners Forum. And we will be launching officially the Asset Owners Forum South Africa on the 19th of November, so next week. We've been doing a lot of work. We're now going to be unveiling that, and which we've been doing together with the World Bank and USAID. Thank you very much.
We believe climate change is the greatest investment opportunity of our generation. That's why the African Green Infrastructure Investment Bank, AFGIB, is investing for generational climate returns. Join Africa's Green Investment Bank and its partners for action on the just transition and emissions reduction targets in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt for an epic 2022 African COP27. The African Green Infrastructure Investment Bank, AFGIB, committing capital to a climate-safe future.
Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.